Welcome friends to another r/IDontWorkHereLady video. If you don't work here but you want to help out, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. That said, our first story of the day is by Crazy Groff. I have what will become your food, but you don't want it. About 2 months ago, I got a job as a commercial driver delivering various kinds and forms of meat to restaurants and shops. Roughly 80% of it is chicken and goes to KFCs and Swiss chalets and comes in 50-pound boxes. 22 kilograms for the civilized of us out there, that I move from my truck into the coolers of whichever place I'm at the time, using a dolly and sweat. At the time this story takes place, I'm in the back of my truck removing boxes from the pallet that they're loaded onto the truck as, and into a neat stack for transport into the store, a KFC as it happens, when the epitome of a Karen pops her head into view. She even had the haircut, and begins yelling about something. Given that my reefer was running, a refrigerator built into the truck to keep the box of the truck at an appropriate temperature, minus 2 degrees Celsius in this case, I couldn't understand what she was yelling about. It's pretty loud when it's running. Given that I was on the job at the time, I didn't go with my initial impulse and told her to freak off, and instead walked to where I could hear what she was saying and asked, "Is there something I can help you with, ma'am?" Well, instead of her acting like a reasonable person and responding with something resembling English, she begins screeching. From what I could pick out, it was mostly nonsense and screeching with the occasional understandable phrase. She's upset about having to wait so long for her food and how there's no one at the counter, and so she decided to do the only obvious thing and come bother the guy in the back of a commercial vehicle throwing around boxes and not dressed in anything resembling a KFC uniform. Deciding that I had enough of this nonsense, I hopped down from the back of my truck and got the manager of the store, telling her that there's a customer harassing me and would she please do something about it. Being a reasonable sort, and also because she wanted me to complete my delivery and give her the chicken that her store was almost completely out of, she engaged the Karen and I went back to my truck. I don't know what went down after that. I was in the back of my truck and haven't been back there, so I haven't been able to ask. But the police got involved, Karen got arrested, and I got a free meal out of the bargain. The manager gave it to me. All in all, a decent day. Would you put up with 5 minutes of a screeching and confrontational Karen if you knew that at the end of those 5 grueling minutes, you could pass them off to a manager and get a free meal out of it? Let me know if you guys think that's worth it down in the comments below. Our next story is by Stutter Maple. Lady doesn't believe I don't work at Walmart and is rude about my stutter. So my story isn't that crazy, but it was both an I don't work here and someone being incredibly rude. This happened about a month ago. I went to Walmart on my way to work. We don't have a uniform, but I was wearing a navy blue polo with a picture of a UPS plane that said UPS Airbus 300 underneath. While I'm there, I go to the freezer aisle to get a quick meal so I can eat lunch at my desk right when I get in. While I'm trying to figure out what I want, one of the employees dropped a handful of frozen stuff, so I went and helped them pick it up. They thanked me and took their online order card and walked away. This lady apparently saw me helping and walked up to me and told me to help her find something. I tried to tell her that I didn't work there, but I have a severe blocking stutter, which means while I'm speaking, I'll stop because I can't physically say the word. So I end up standing there with my mouth open. So she cuts me off with a loud sigh saying, I don't have time for this, don't bother. Just go find me someone else to help. I finally managed to get out of the block and tell her that I don't work there, pointing to my shirt with the UPS plane logo on it. She looks at my shirt, then tells me that I'm wearing navy at Walmart, which means I work there and that I needed to go get someone else. I go to say that I don't work there and excuse me, but I need to leave. But of course I start stuttering again. She stops me and tells me that I have to help her and that she's going to get my manager and tell them how horrible of an employee I was. I told her to go ahead because I clearly don't work there, and she grabbed my wrist and pulls me to someone working in the clothes section right across from the frozen section. She raises her voice and tells them to get the supervisor, which they do. I'm annoyed because I knew I was losing time to get through TSA at a decent time and rolled my eyes. She got angry that I sighed and rolled my eyes and started yelling at me, saying that she was going to get me in trouble. The supervisor comes over after a couple of minutes and she starts yelling at him because how could they even consider hiring someone who can't even speak properly, and they need to get competent people working for them who can actually talk to customers to help. To which the supervisor looks both uncomfortable for her comments and confused because he clearly saw my shirt and knew I didn't work there. He looked at me and asked if I wanted to leave, and I just nodded because I know that when I'm flustered, my stuttering gets worse. So he tells me to go ahead, and he tells me to have a good day, and I just leave, not even getting my lunch. All the while, she's still angrily talking to him about something or the other. And yes, she did make me late, but at least my boss thought the story was funny. I feel bad for OP because already nobody has to deal with these kinds of Karens. Nobody deserves to deal with that. And OP having that stutter made things all the worse, and of course, a Karen like that doesn't care about anybody or anything. Use that as a way to put them down and try to make them feel bad for it. Honestly, people like that are the kinds that you wish there were no rules, so you could just kind of give them a good smack upside the head for being such a crappy person. Our next story is by Nvidia Blue. Good experiences? I just joined this because it looked interesting. But I have to say that the only time I've been mistaken for an employee is when I went into Hot Topic many years ago. Yeah, before it was a lame Spencer's clone, I'll say it. On more than one occasion, I had someone ask me a question as if I worked there, and they were always so apologetic when I told them I didn't. I had to reassure them that it was definitely a compliment. Anyone else been flattered in this way? I can definitely imagine if you go to a store that you feel is like your aesthetic, your look, like if you're in a certain store, you're basically home, that if somebody thinks your appearance or your presence there obviously is so in sync that you must work there, I can definitely see how some would take that as a compliment. I would just think that it's annoying. Our next story is by Angel Lunaire, always being mistaken as a Walmart employee because of my work hoodie. So, since I got my car in February, I stopped wearing my winter jacket and started wearing my work hoodie. It's an orange and yellow reflective hoodie since I work in a warehouse and it's always cold in there during winter. Think the reflective vest in hoodie form. This means any store I walk into, I am wearing it. Every time I go to Walmart, I get asked a question or an excuse me, only for the people to realize I don't work there. But since it's a Walmart I've basically spent 11 years in, I do help people since I have free time to help. The only person I didn't help was a Karen who tried hitting me with her purse for being an ignorant teenager who doesn't understand how to respect an elder. She did that to me right as the manager was walking by. So I was put on a diet for health reasons and was looking for bananas as it's one of the few fruits I can eat. There were none on the shelves, so I needed a bunch of crates just slightly down an aisle. I walked over, cart with veggies for salads in hand, and started to grab some. Karen taps my shoulder and demanded me to stop stocking the bananas and come help her find a mini fridge. I stopped what I was doing, looked at the Karen, and told her I don't work here, but if she wants the mini fridge, walk past the registers towards the beauty area, and across from it on a skid should be some on display. She then scoffed at me and said, "You work here, you have a work shirt on." I just roll my eyes and repeat what I said earlier, then add, "This is my hoodie for when I'm working in a warehouse. It gets cold at my job." She then goes, "You're lying. You're only what, 17? Now help me out." So then I repeat that I don't work here and I need to finish my shopping. And that's when she yells at me for being the ignorant teenager who doesn't understand how to respect an elder, and how I need to learn not to lie, and goes to hit me. The manager walks by and the following conversation happens. The manager says, "Hey OP, how are you?" I say, "As you can see, dealing with crazy." Karen says, "Excuse me, young lady," turns to the manager and says, "Your employee refused to help me and was disrespectful to me." The manager says, "Well, considering I've watched OP grow up since she was 14 and was now 23, I said 24, turning 25. They said, "All right." OP's a good kid and is very respectful and would help someone unless they're disrespectful and rude to her. Karen with her mouth opening like a fish, but she refused to help me and told me she doesn't work here. Then starts screaming, "Look at her sweater, she works here." The manager says, "Actually, she's the lead in her department at a warehouse, and I'm proud of her." They look at me and say, "Want me to call the police?" I say, "If you want to and charge her with public disturbance, sure. Otherwise, you take crazy and help her find what she wants. I got things to do." With that, me and manager say goodbye, and I go about my shopping while manager walks crazy Karen out. Well, it certainly pays to be very good friends with the manager of the store. You're pretty much iron in your defense there. There's nothing a Karen can do but gape like a fish when the manager comes up and is like, "Oh hey, what's up OP?" Probably gives you like a fist bump or something. This next story is by My Tracy. Just because I'm wearing a polo doesn't mean I work here. A couple months ago, I went to a college visitation with other high school seniors. As part of the experience, we went to a trampoline park, and I decided to wear my very comfortable polo. We get there, and I'm hanging out with my friends who also went, when someone comes up to me and asks to be led into an area that needs staff attention. I politely said, "Sorry, I don't work here," and the guy seemed embarrassed, so I told him no worries and that I thought I saw a staff member over somewhere else. I don't know what it is about a polo, but people think it means you work there. The actual staff members were in t-shirts with the brand plastered all over, so I'm not sure what made him think that me of all people work there. No crazy Karen, just a fun story I wanted to share. I'm gonna assume maybe they didn't see very many staff or only saw one or two. Maybe that polo just really stuck out for some reason, I don't know. This next story is by a Crawlopede. Please update your emergency contact information. I don't work there anymore. Please do not call me if there's an emergency. Years ago, I worked as the administrator for a pair of residential treatment facilities where individuals with long-term mental health issues lived. I was the contact person for a couple city and county agencies and would occasionally get calls about referrals, changes in parole status for some of my residents, that kind of thing. I left that position in the fall and winter of 2012. Back in 2020 or so, I got a call from one of the partners and the conversation went like this. I said hello. They said hello, this is whoever, let's call them B, with such and such agency. Is this OP? I say, please tell me what this is regarding. They say, I'm calling to update and verify our emergency contact information. We have you listed as the contact person for facility. Is that right? I say, that's my name, but I haven't worked for that company since 2012. I'm not an emergency contact for them anymore, and you'll need to remove me from your list. I'm not a resource for you or for them. Note, yes, I really did talk like that. 10 years in community mental health and outreach trains you to speak like a computer when necessary, so your conversations stay factual and you don't inadvertently agree to anything. They say, well, we need some sort of contact information, and yours is the most up-to-date we have. Please spell your first and last name in your email or mailing address so our contact information is correct and I say, B, stop right there. I'm not verifying any of my contact information as I'm not an employee of company and cannot be used as a resource. Remove any of my information from your list and call company directly if you need updated emergency contact information. I don't even know who works at those sites any longer. I've been gone for years. They say, I need you to help me update your contact information. You're being deliberately unhelpful. I say yes. Now imagine how unhelpful I'd be if you called me at 10 p.m. on a Friday night because one of the residents stripped naked and ran down the street screaming that their dead grandparents were trying to kill them. Additional note, that's a call I actually did get when I was an after-hours contact for these sites. I continue, B, again, please remove me from your list of contacts altogether. I no longer work for company and will not be handling any emergency calls. If you continue to harass me, I'll make my own call to company and report you for harassment. B says, man, I'm just trying to do my job. I say, yeah, well, you're also trying to get me to do something that's definitely not my job. Please do not call me for emergencies. Goodbye. Ended call. And that was that. I know it reads like a script or fake story, but yeah, a decade in community mental health and social work teaches you to talk like an automaton sometimes, so you don't inadvertently reveal someone's protected information. And it does help one maintain a really weird level of professionalism and boundaries to keep you from overpromising something to someone. If it wasn't for the whole you come off as a total robot thing, I feel like that's the kind of thing I would love to implement because I am so terrible at giving non-answers and people pleasing and not wanting to say no to people and having boundaries sometimes. When it's somebody that I care about or somebody that I know I'm not going to never see again, it's hard for me to deal with confrontation or putting my foot down. Though if I was faced with a situation like OP was, I don't think I'd have any problem putting my foot down because that's just ridiculous and you're never going to hear from that guy again. But with that being said, that's all the time that we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.